Good evening and welcome from North Miami High School, the home of the Warriors. Tonight we're coming to you live here from North Miami. We're going to cover the game between the North Miami Warriors and the Wabash Apaches. But the real reason we're here tonight is to cover the reunion of the 1968 North Miami Warriors team that made it all the way to the Elite Eight in the IHSA tournament. Steve Stricker here with Quentin Sager on camera. We've got Scott Sager back at the home base in Rochester, making sure everything's running right for us tonight. And should be a great night of coverage. The 1968 team here is in the house. They've been here all afternoon. They've had a full list of different functions and everything. And I've invited them just to come up here and talk as they can. And first up, we've got the head coach from the 1968 North Miami Warriors, Mr. Jerry Lewis. Coach Lewis, thanks for joining us here tonight. Been a great afternoon.
It's my pleasure. Just as you said that, the drums started.
Yeah, they're doing it just for you. So just tell us a little bit about, that 1968 season. I've read up a little bit on them and everything. Going into the sectionals, you guys had only won 7 games, but you kind of put lightning in the bottle there in the tournament. Just tell us a little bit about that whole set.
Well, we had a really interesting finish to our season. We struggled at times throughout, but I always kept telling them that that was a year we could win because, in the first place, Logansport was always good on their home gym in the sectional, being the bigger school and everything, but they had beaten us very soundly the year before, and eight seniors and their whole team graduated, and I knew that we were all back, and if we learned something and prepared ourselves, which we talked about the entire year, summer, fall, whenever I could get the point across, I kept telling them this was our year to do that. And by the time late February rolled around, we caught fire and hit free throws at right times, got good play off the bench, got good play from our starters, and we just won 5 games in Old Berry Bowl at Logansport, just like we owned the place, and then advanced down to Lafayette. I think you'll find out that was the first semi-state game played in New Mackey Arena in 1968 at Purdue, and it was a real treat for our team. And we got a win over Greencastle, which happened to be basically my home when I was a kid, and it was a great win for me and for North Miami. We won't talk about the night game, but before that, it was 6 good tournament wins.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I read up a little bit about that. Eventual state champion Gary Roosevelt in the night game. So
and they didn't have a close game the next week either.
Yeah. So it's for the kids that are watching, and my daughter, she's a senior in high school right now, and she was able to go down 2 years ago with her Argus Lady Dragons to the state championship game, but it was a lot different back then, obviously. Now you have class basketball, but a lot of these kids here today, they don't understand, what it's like as a team from a smaller school in North Miami, walking into a situation like Logansport High School. That's a big-time school right
there. It might
there.
not as big to them now, but at that point, they were a really good team in the North Central Conference, and with the one-class system, it was a great accomplishment for our team that week in the sectional and then regional and the semi-state as well.
So I know you guys have been busy here today. You guys had a chili dinner and got to catch up.
We have 11 players here, 11 out of 12.
11 out of 12.
That had showed up finally.
Yeah.
A couple were late, but we have 11 players.
Right.
It's that's quite an accomplishment after 50 years.
Right. So I was going to ask, how close have you guys been able to stay over the years?
Well, not too. I have some friends who are acquaintances with the players, and we've talked about certain guys, and and we've had 2 or 3 contacts at various times with different players, and it's been really, really good. But you know, it's just really nice to get them together today and to carry this event. You got to thank North Miami for doing this. Mr. Contreras and Mr. Hawkins and their principal and everybody have been really great to us. It's been a great thing.
Yeah, Ed, you know, he's been super for us. You know, when we decided that, hey, let's cover this thing, you know, he's been great. He's been very helpful with everything, getting us down here. And it's great that after all this time that you guys can all get back together, and 11 out of 12 people here, that's super as well. So we're going to kind of float guys in and out here. I'm going to try and talk to as many guys as that want to come up here and talk to us, and try and get all the nitty-gritty details about that 1968 season.
Well, it started my basically got me started winning tournaments. I was very, very fortunate during my coaching career, and with sectionals and regionals and wins and stuff. And this place is where it all began, as far as I'm concerned, with sectional and regional that in 1968. So it was a great thing for me.
And you said, we talked before we went on the air, and you said that you went on to coach at Norwell for 20
years. 20
years, and had how many sectionals?
Well, 8 at Norwell and 2 more regional champions. So in total, the end was 9 sectionals and 3 regional champions, 2 final 8s in 25 years. So I felt that I've been very, very fortunate and had a good run. And 3 years ago, got that special honor at the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. That was really the final, thing for me. It was good.
Well, tell us a little bit about what was that?
That was an induction to the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Which they have about 12 per year.
Yeah.
They get inducted. Usually there's about 3 coaches, and most of them are players. There's just if you got a roster of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
There's NBA coaches, there's NBA players all over the place from Indiana, and it's been really a hotbed of basketball forever in Indiana, and they're still putting them, really developing good players at the high school level.
Mm-hmm. Little story I had. I work in sales, and in the back of my van I've got a basketball. That's my youngest daughter. She's 11. Well, she'd gone to a shooting camp with Rick Mount last summer. He was up in Plymouth, and he signed her basketball. And I had a customer ask me about, how much was the basketball? I said, it's not for sale. And I showed him the signature, and he looked at it, and he's like, well, who's Rick Mount?
Right.
And I said, you're not from Indiana, are you? He's like, no, I'm from Michigan.
Yeah. Rick Mount was one of the greatest shooters that ever threw a ball at the basket. He was fantastic. Maybe not as good a pro player.
Right.
But at the high school and college level, he was phenomenal.
Right. I got to know, actually, his grandson attended Ancilla College, which is up by us, last year, and he was very involved. We have a athletic training facility in Plymouth now called the Zone, and Jordan is, his grandson's name's Jordan, and he was very involved with that while he was in Ancilla, and he was working with the kids and stuff like that, and super nice kid and everything, and he was instrumental in bringing Rick up to do the shooting school up there at the Zone. So
he'd be really good at it. I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
He'll get good help.
Yep. All right, so we got about a minute and a half left to go here before the game. Yeah, you're more than welcome if they'd like to come up. We want to thank you, Coach Jerry Lewis.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up and talking to us for a few minutes, and enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you.
So that was the head coach of the 1968.
I don't know whether I get him to come or not.
the head coach of the 1968 North Miami team that made it all the way to the Elite Eight that they're going to honor here at the halftime show. We're getting set to go here with tonight's game. It's going to be the 2-8 North Miami Warriors are hosting the 5-6 Wabash Apaches. North Miami is coached by Cliff Hawkins. He's 2-8 in his first year here. He has 488 wins and 334 losses in 37 years of coaching. Last time out, the North Miami Warriors lost to Lakeland Christian 60-54. The Warriors started the season 2-2, but they've dropped their last 6. Wabash comes in, coached by Paul Wright, who is 34-67 in his 5th year. Last time out for the Wabash Apaches, they lost to Mississinewa 62-53, and they have lost 4 out of their last 6 games as well. All right, so we're getting set to go here with this one. We're going to do some starting lineups here in a minute. Let's take a break, come back here with our starting lineups from North Miami.
RTC Fiber Communications is now serving the community of Argus. Now you can enjoy the incredibly fast speed and reliability of fiber internet. Stream movies, surf the web, or watch your favorite local videos on rtc4.com. All from RTC Fiber Communications, now serving Argus. Give RTC a call today or check us out online at www.rtc1.com.
Got that new home edition and you're keeping it covered.
Ooh, coverages now. I can help with this. Got zone coverage, man coverage, combo coverages.
I don't know, Peyton. I think more like the coverage your nationwide agent offers.
Oh, you want to go there? Home, auto, life, business, farm, boat, RV, ATV, camper, pet, motorcycle, your tour bus. Right. Did I mention farm?
Contact Jennings Insurance Agency today or visit one of our offices in Argus and Rochester.
At First Federal Savings Bank, we know that buying your first home can be an overwhelming process.
The mortgage experts at First Federal Savings Bank will work with you from application to closing.
At First Federal Savings Bank, we pay standard closing costs for our first-time home buyers.
We offer free pre-approvals and local loan servicing throughout the life of your loan.
Stop in and talk with one of our mortgage lenders and take the worry out of buying your first home.
And remember, we don't want to be the biggest bank, just the best bank.
All right, welcome back here. We're getting set to go here from North Miami High School. The North Miami Warriors taking on the Wabash Apaches in a TRC conference matchup. First off, the starters for the visitors from Wabash. Sophomore 5'9", number 5, Derek Vogel. A 6'5" junior, number 12, Logan Vandervelden.
A senior, number 33, Austin Vinipal.
A senior, 6 foot tall, number 33, Austin Vinipal. A 5'10" sophomore, number 22, Trenton Daughtry.
Number 23, Luke Mattern.
And finally, a 5'9" senior, number 23, Luke Mattern.
Apaches are coached by Paul Wright, assisted by Mr. Matt Daughtry.
Head coach Paul Wright for the Wabash Apaches. And now the starting lineup for the home team, North Miami Warriors.
Senior, number 22, Zane Briggs.
A senior, number 22, Zane Briggs.
At guard, a sophomore, number 10, Tristan Working.
A sophomore guard, number 10, Tristan Working.
At guard, a junior, number 12, Malachi Sanderson.
Another guard, a junior, number 12, Malachi Sanderson.
Number 14, Noah Goulet.
A senior, number 14, Noah Goulet.
A senior, number 32, Patrick Masters.
And finally, a senior, number 32, Patrick Masters.
Mr. Matt Crawford. Your officials for this evening, Mr. Rob Wan, John Volnich, and Mike Baker.
All righty, we're getting set to go here with the tip, and we're going to continue on with the parade of players here. We'll get our next interviewee, Mr. Robert Pontius. Let's get the tip started here, and then we'll let you start telling some stories here for us.
Easy on the Robert.
Bob.
Nobody knows me that way.
All right, Bob. So the tip is going to be Vander Velden going up against Masters, and right out of the gate, Wabash goes down and puts one in for 2. That's number 32. All right, Bob, so we got a chance to talk to your coach, Jerry Lewis, here to start things off, and he's, kind of coach speak, I guess, a little bit. He kind of gave us the lowdown on everything that happened. So I'm just going to let you go. From your perspective, what was the run like? You kind of went into the sectionals, with, finding your rhythm a little bit at the end of the year, but only 7 wins, and then you were able to find, a really good rhythm at Logansport.
Well, the 2 teams we played before Logansport in the sectional, we had already beaten within a month. And we just decided that we got that far. We knew how to play. We had some troubles on the team. Coach Lewis, we gave him a lot of trouble being young kids. But we got in that Logansport game, found ourselves 10 points up with 4 minutes to go, and we just knew then we could ride it on out. What felt so good about that win was that for all the small schools, Deedsville, Macy, Gilead, Mexico, all the small schools that could never really compete with Peru or Logansport, and then to win the regional a week later kind of validated that, we belong there.
Timeout Warriors.
So when you went to the Logansport, you went back to Logansport for regionals, correct?
Yes.
Who were the teams that you played in the regionals then?
They were all from the north. LaVille, which was a new consolidation.
Right.
Chesterton and Knox, I believe. One of the stories was in that afternoon game when we played Knox. I got 4 fouls in the first 4 minutes, so I sat on the bench until the start of the 4th quarter, and I got my 5th foul 15 seconds into the quarter. So for the most part, I watched the game. And I believe the team pulled themselves together. They worked as a team. They won the game by a bigger point spread than any time that I played.
Really?
But it just showed how it was just a bunch of guys working together.
Right.
Like I said, we kind of come together. Did Coach Lewis tell you how he got everybody's attention that year when we were losing?
No, he didn't mention that.
Well, we had lost on a Friday night, and Coach Lewis called for a Saturday morning practice. Was going to have a game Saturday night. Well, me and another player, unbeknownst to each other, we didn't talk about it, we didn't come to that practice. So that night at the ball game, the coach said, everybody who was at the practice should get a play before you 2 guys do. And he was right. So he set us on the bench the whole game. Now, a story I've told many times, but not to an audience like this, but after the game, one of the bus drivers said to Jerry, I see you set Bob on the bench. You must have found out about him smoking. So then, that just poured more fuel on the fire. Coach Lewis told me, he said, you're off the team, and you can come back when you're ready to be serious and play. Now, looking back on it, Indiana, a basketball state, it's just high school, it was revered back then. Well, for him to throw the largest, the tallest player, the high scorer, the high rebounder, the leader of the team supposedly. I never looked at myself that way so much, but for him to do that, I'm sure he caught a lot of heat from those fans.
Yeah.
But the rest of the guys got the idea that if they throw Bob off the team, he might throw us off too, So he showed who was in charge, and he never got mean about anything. And the rest, they say, is history.
So how long after that did it take you to earn your spot back then?
Oh, I can't remember if I was off the team for a week. There was only one game played while I wasn't playing. Then I went back to practice. I can't remember if that next game, if I started or not, but I got back in the starting rotation pretty quick.
Yeah. So it definitely got your attention then, for sure. So it's funny that you mentioned LaVille. I was just up at LaVille last night. We were doing our girls. They have the Bi-County tournament at LaVille, and our girls were playing up there. Actually, our boys are playing up there probably right now in a consolation game. So, yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that LaVille was one of the teams that you guys had played.
LaVille was in the other afternoon game of the regional. They got beat by Chesterton, and we played Chesterton.
Okay.
But I did, the small college I went to, the number one player from LaVille's team, Carl Herbster, he was on that. He come down to the same school I played.
Okay.
So I got to know him.
There's some Herbsters that went through there that were really good softball players. I assume they're probably, I don't know if they're his kids or grandkids, but yeah, LaVille is a pretty close. My kids go to Argus, so not too far away from here. But then LaVille's pretty close to us up there. So.
Well, where were you in what, 79? Is that when Argus made their
79?
Run?
Yeah. The boys had to run. They made it down to Indy to the Final Four. Lost in the semifinal game in 79, and actually 80 they had a chance to get back. And the best free throw shooter probably ever at Argus, Jennings, missed 2 free throws, and they lost the game by 1. 95% free throw shooter. Pressure, they actually felt like they had a better team in 80 than they did in 79. So what year were you in 68? Were you
I was a senior.
Senior, that was your senior year then? Okay.
Yeah, we played Logansport in the first game of the sectional in 67, and that Logansport team went to the Final 8 in Lafayette, I believe.
Yeah.
And I had never seen a team on the floor like that before. Logansport always amazed me. They played in that Northern Conference where they could be in Anderson one night and Michigan City the next.
Right.
That's traveling.
Yeah, definitely.
And those guys just, they had more tricks than I was used to with the country players.
Yeah. So you were basically, because North Miami was consolidated in 64, so your freshman year would have been the first year of the consolidation?
No, I think it was actually 62.
62.
The class of 67 was the first class to go all the way through 7th through 8th, or 7th through seniors, I believe.
Okay.
And my class, I always said, was the first class not to do anything first. That's why winning the sectional gave us something to think about. But
right. So we got a pretty good game going on here. The Wabash Apaches are up by 4 with 3:13 left here in the first quarter, and we're talking to Bob Pontius, who was the senior leader on the team. Doesn't want to call himself the senior leader, but he was. I read enough about the game and the season to get your name out of that pretty quick. So the coach was saying there's 11 out of the 12 that were on the roster that are here tonight.
There was one player, and we don't know why he couldn't make it. But then there's actually only 10. Mike Skinner, our starting forward, was killed in 79 in a car accident.
Oh, okay. So 10
out of the 11 that's alive.
Okay. I was talking to Dale Jones a little bit. I actually good friends with his brother Pete. Went to church in Peru with Pete for a long time before we moved back up to Culver, and he was saying that probably the one that isn't here lives out in Arizona way or something.
Yeah, I think so.
So be a little bit of a haul to come back. So how, I asked the coach about it, how close of contact have you been able to stay with, some of your teammates from back then?
You know, I stayed around Rochester and Logansport area till about 85. Then I went north to Elkhart. The jobs just kind of went away around Fulton County. So I was up there for 25 years. I didn't hang around down here much on my off time even. I come down to visit my parents and so on, but people go their separate ways, and that's what class reunion, my 40-year class reunion was interesting in that everybody was pretty much the same. Everybody was just trying to be happy and get along. Some were more financially successful than others, but everybody had the same attitude. It's good. If anybody ever thinks they don't want to go to the reunion, don't think that way. Go to your reunions and see the people, even if you didn't like them. They're different. You were all kids back then. They're more mature now.
Right.
This gymnasium. Now I'm just as tall as I was in '68, but I walked in here and it just seemed smaller.
Yeah.
I maybe because of the age. I'm not sure. It was a big thing then. Friday night basketball games. Still to this day, the smell of popcorn will take me back to the lobby of the school, back in '67 and '68.
Well, I know over the years they've had several different construction projects, but gym pretty similar to what it was back then?
The only thing that's changed dramatically is they don't have the little kids down here on this right side. There used to be about 3 or 4 bleachers there, and the grade school kids would get down there.
Yeah.
I suppose with flying bodies and so on, it's just as well.
Yeah.
Because the little kids wouldn't necessarily always stay in their seats and
doing things that little kids tend to do. So I imagine that back in the day in your high school in this gym, this was probably one of the top gyms in the area. Pretty good sized gym back in the times.
It was at least full size. There were still schools, Mentone, for example, or Kiwanis, did not have full size floors. I remember as a grade schooler going down to Mexico gym to play, and it was the first full size floor I'd ever been on. And I must have been, I don't know, maybe 12 years old or whatever, but
right.
It was longer to get from one end to the other.
Right. That's funny you mentioned that. My youngest daughter's in 5th grade, and I coach the 5th grade team there at the school, and our elementary gym is, I don't know, it's a good bit smaller than a high school gym. Last night we had practice, and we were able to go down to the middle school gym, and they ran up and down. That's a full-size floor. They ran up and down about 3 times, and they were all just beat red. And so, what's wrong with you guys? Like, we're just dying. Well, the floor is a little bigger on that one. I didn't even realize it at the time, but little 5th grade girls, they look pretty small when you throw them out on that big full-size floor like that. Wasn't it just 14-10?
Yes, when you mentioned it, I looked up there too, and now all of a sudden they've blown it up.
29-10 with 40 seconds left to go here. That actually my scoreboard camera went out. Let's see what's going on with that.
Did Coach Lewis or Dale tell you how Dale Jones won the afternoon game at Lafayette that year?
Haven't got there yet, no.
Dale was a very excellent foul shooter.
Okay.
When it got down to the last few minutes, of course this is before the shot clock or anything, we just put the ball in Dale's hands. They'd foul him, and it'd be 2 points.
Right.
It was just automatic. I think he was like 10 for 10 in the last 2 minutes of that game. So the lead we had when we started that, we just maintained it.
Yeah. They weren't going to get any closer as long as he was shooting the free throws.
And Coach Lewis himself probably didn't mention it, but for many, many years he held the national foul shooting percentage. He, I don't know what year it was when he was in college, junior or senior year, he shot 75 of 80 for the season.
Really?
And that percentage was enough to be the best in the country. And he had the part of the story that's neat is that he had to have 80 shots to qualify. That's just what he
right
had.
At the minimum. Well, you've got a little more activity to go here tonight. They're going to have a celebration of you guys coming up at the halftime here and recognizing everyone. So, 10 players, Coach Lewis, and several cheerleaders. I don't know. Do you know how many?
3 out of 5.
3 out of the 5 cheerleaders.
Well, now wait a minute. There might be 4. There's supposed to be 4 out of 5. The 5th one lives several states away. Nels O'Neill, the athletic director, is here. Nels O'Neill was Mr. North Miami for years.
Yeah.
He was assistant principal to about, I'm going to say at least 6 different principals. And he was the athletic director, and he was just. It was good for the community. He went to Gilead High School, I believe. It was good for the community for him to stay in a position of administration and help run the school the way it should be ran. I caused him a few headaches too, but nothing he held a grudge about.
Now, as a school administrator, I'm sure you have a few of those every year. And if you held grudges against them all, you'd have to keep a list to remember who you were holding grudges against, I think. So it's great that, North Miami, these little communities, these little schools, they've got to keep them around. I know North Miami was a consolidation of several area schools and stuff. And, over the years, you look back at their football program, the girls' basketball program, Ruth Riley, back in the day, they've had some really, really good athletic teams go through here. And basically started with you guys back in '68. I think you set the bar pretty high and were able to establish kind of a tone, if you will.
It would be hard. The farm communities, the boys had more shooting at the rims in the barn and in the parking lots of the church than we actually ever did in the gymnasium. Didn't have the boys clubs and such, like the bigger cities would have.
Full timeout, Warriors.
And before we had our good luck, North Miami had some success. We had a few all-state football players. I can't remember. Well, I wish I could remember his name, but I believe at one point, I think a young man from North Miami was a cross-country state champion. I think he had a record.
Yeah.
I remember when they started class basketball, a lot of people didn't think that would be any good. They liked it the way it was. you had a true state champion. But as the schools got bigger and the players got bigger, faster, there was more for them to help them develop. There's camps all summer long now for a kid to go to. We didn't have anything like that.
Right.
It got to the point where you about have to go class because you just couldn't. You take a team out of a big Indianapolis school, it's going to be awful tough to any given year have the right mixture of guys to compete with them.
Right. You don't hear too many stories, anymore. Of course, you talked about the Argus team that we had in '79 that did it. Our girls team 2 years ago went down and played for a state championship and came up runners-up in Class A. And, that never would have happened back in the single-class system. I mean, they were a very good team, but we could have never competed against the big schools in Indianapolis and the such. And I look at it coming from a small school. I graduated from Culver Community. Right at the tail end of right before they started doing class basketball, I graduated in '94, and I never made it past the first game. We played in Plymouth, and Plymouth was still Plymouth, not Plymouth of '80s, with Skiles and all them, but it was still a mystique, and there was still a lot there. And looking back on it, I don't have a problem with class basketball. I think it gives everybody a more more opportunity, and it does take away some of the stories that you guys the teams like that and stuff. But those girls on that team from 2 years ago, they'll never forget that experience.
Oh yeah, the success. I told the senior the varsity tonight, we had a little time to talk to them. I told them that all through my life, because of my height, people have asked me, did you play basketball? And I'd said, yes, I played. That was the problem. I never worked at it. I said, you guys like this game? It's worth working at. Put your full effort in. You do your best. If you win, okay. If you lose, okay, as long as you did your best.
Right.
Well, I think I'll get back over with the rest of the group for the halftime stuff coming up.
All right.
Thanks for letting me stay here and bend your ear.
No, you can get back over there with them so you don't miss your big shining moment here at half. Hey, I appreciate you coming over. Good to meet you and everything, and have fun. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Bob Pontius, senior on the 1968 team that went to the Elite Eight for the North Miami Warriors. I appreciate him coming up and chatting with us for a few minutes, giving us some stories about that season. And back here on the court, we've got 4:44 left to go here in the first half. North Miami trails 37-14. So we got some more of the players. They're going to stop by here after the half. They're getting ready to go get lined up and everything here for their halftime events. So we'll try and get a few more of them here coming in after the half. I do apologize here. We're having issues with our scoreboard cam. Normally right here in the middle of the screen, there's a picture of the scoreboard that will tell you time and the score. 4:13 in the second quarter right now.
Logan Vanderbilt with the foul.
Well, it doesn't want to cooperate, so I'll just read it out for you. 41-14, Wabash leads. Oh, there you go. Right there. So good call there, Quentin. And this is going to be broadcast. Obviously, we're broadcasting live right now on rtc4.com. But if you're watching at home and you want, you have friends that want to see this, or you want to watch it later or anything like that, let them know as soon as this game is over. This automatically becomes archived. So you can go back and watch this anytime, and I know you don't want to sit here and listen to me talk, so that's not what I'm here for. I'm just kind of documenting everything that's going on here tonight, and it's a celebration for North Miami of the 68 boys team that went to the semi-state. Back then, no class basketball like we have today. Winning a sectional was a huge accomplishment. Winning a regional was once in a lifetime, and then obviously making it to the championship game of the semi-state. That's why we're here, because they did something very special back then. So Wabash is going to take the ball out here, a little full court press by the Warriors. Got 3 minutes left to go here in the first half. Pass is tipped away and stolen by Hanley of the Warriors. Come down quickly, and Wabash gets the rebound. And there's a travel call on number 12, Logan Vandervelden. Vandervelden is a 6'5" junior for the Apaches. I'd like to give the big shout out to Ed Contreras, the North Miami athletic director. He had his kids and then his staff. They moved their entire weight room facility, sleds, stands, bells, balls, bars, and everything that were up here on the deck. Moved everything downstairs to accommodate the crowd here tonight, and able to pull out the bleachers. And Ed's been great help for us, been great in accommodating us being here and getting us set up on their internet and everything. So thank you to Ed and all of the North Miami staff for your great hospitality. So the bucket by number 14. Noah Goulet is good, and it's going to be the second foul on Matt Stein, and Goulet is going to have an and one opportunity. Wabash leads 43-19 with 2:01 left here in the second period at North Miami High School. Goulet's free throw is up and good to complete the three-point play. Score 43-20 right at 2 minutes left. Pass inside, and there's going to be a foul on North Miami. It's going to send Elijah Vandervelden to the line. Elijah is the 6'7" sophomore, I assume brother of Logan Vandervelden. They grow 'em big in the Vandervelden family, 6'7" and 6'5". And good free throw shooters to boot. Vandervelden puts the first one in, giving the Wabash Apaches a 44-20 lead. And the second one off the front, and a offensive board for the Apaches, number 12, Logan Vandervelden. And he's going to be going to the line, shooting the 1-and-1 for Wabash. Foul is on Gillette. It's his second. It's a team 8th foul.
Christian Worthy.
And the shot is good by Goulet, bringing the Warriors back to within 20, 44-24 with a minute 12 left here in the first half. And a big weak side rebound there by number 30, Darian Hanley. Gives North Miami the ball back with 50 seconds left here in the first half. Hanley gets the pass over into the corner. And it's going to be a turnover on the Warriors. Musselman with the travel. Wabash looks like they're content to run the last 30 seconds of the clock off here and find one last shot here in the first half. Kick out to Vandervelden. Drives into the paint, kicks it back up top. Daughtry has it on the left wing, looking for an opening in the zone defense here by the Warriors. And he finds a good gap and puts in a nice bank shot from about 8 feet. And there is a drive all the way to the bucket by Goulet, and that's going to count at the buzzer. So your halftime score, Wabash Apaches 46 and the North Miami Warriors 26. All right, so we're going to draw your attention to the floor right now. The 1968 semi-state team is going to be recognized here at North Miami High School, and we're going to give you all the halftime festivities. Down here in the corner, the athletic director, Ed Contreras.
Start the season. However, the basketball fortunes changed quickly, and the team endured a 9-game losing streak to drop their record to 4-11. Wins against Caston, Lewis Cass, and Fairmount provided hope as the regular season closed with a record of 7-13, setting the stage for one of the great runs by small schools in the Indiana State Tournament in the pre-class basketball era. Wins over Caston, Lewis, and Logansport provided the first sectional win. Defeats of Knox, Chesterton provided the regional championship, and the team defeated Greencastle in the semi-state before succumbing to the eventual state champion Gary Roosevelt at Mackey Arena. Just as important, the run brought together support from the entire community as 2000 attended a celebration following the regional title and became a source of pride that is still alive today in North Miami Warriors. At this time, it's my great pleasure to introduce the 1967-1968 team. Starting out with the cheerleaders, we have Carolyn Kraft. Kim Carson. Linda Miller. Aletta Yoder. Cheerleaders unable to attend tonight is Rita Greer and our mascot Dale Coffey. Managers C.L. Lutz. Rick Burris. Mike Easterday, who was unable to attend tonight. And now, introducing your 1968 semi-state finalists, Dale Jones. Mike Coffey. Frank Miller. Randy Smith. Bob Pontius. Gary Baker. Dick Moyer. Mike Walters. Mike Devine. Roger Grismore. And Dave Collins. Unable to attend tonight was Mike Skinner. AD Nels O'Neill. And your coach of the 1968 team, 2015 Hall of Fame inductee, Jerry Lewis.
And there they are, your 1968 North Miami Warriors, who made it all the way to the Elite 8 in the IHSAA state tournament. 10 out of the 12 players
1968 for the history and all you've done here from North Miami Warriors.
able to attend tonight, including head coach Jerry Lewis, 4 out of the 5 cheerleaders, and the athletic director. Nels O'Neill was the athletic director at the time. We heard Bob Pontius talking very fondly of Mr. O'Neill and all he did for North Miami through the years. So here's a good photo opportunity. All the players, front row getting down on one knee, taking a little longer than it probably did back in 1968, but that's to be expected. Great to see all of the team members, cheerleaders, administration, and coaching staff here tonight. All right, a wonderful halftime event and celebration of the 1968 North Miami Warriors team. And great thing North Miami athletic director and all the people at the school put on here for that team in celebration of their 50th anniversary. And getting ready here, we got another I'm gonna put that right there. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
All righty. So I'm joined up here. Sorry, I had to. Mike Walters, that's what I thought. I just wanted to check. I knew it was Mike. There's two mics on here. So I'm joined by Mike Walters here up in the booth, getting set to start the second half. And Mike, we got to talk to Coach and Bob, and just kind of let you have the floor. Just kind of talk about your experiences in the whole 68 season and that whole tournament run that you guys had.
I think the thing that I remember most is, we really struggled during the season, or toward the end of the season, we kind of turned it around, and people said, well, what was the difference? What made the difference in the end of your season? I joked with them, and I said, well, coon hunting season was over at the time, so guys started getting a lot more rest. But I think we started coming together at the right time of the year, and I think we just kind of struggled early, and we got to starting to blend together better. I came up from the JV team about halfway through the season, and I started in from that point on and rotated in and out. And I think my role is on the team at that point in time was basically to play defense and to run the offense. I wasn't required. I needed to score for us to be successful. So, as a young person, I came up, I was almost scared to shoot the basketball. But in reality, I was up there for a reason, and everybody was supportive of us. The community, I think, is the thing that I remember most about the things that went on. We went to a lot of different places after practice to eat and things like that, the support that we had. And I talked to an older lady that she is here tonight, and she said, well, the thing that I remember most is, she said, a lot of the cows went unmilked when you guys were doing the sectional and regional and semi-state. But, we did in the semi-state, we did get beat pretty bad our final game in the semi-state, which the team we played was just totally outstanding. They went on to win the state that year as well. But, we achieved far more than what we really thought we could do and the community thought we could do. But I think our hearts changed at some point in time, and we realized that what we were capable of. And I've always said I coached for basketball for about 15 years, and I always felt like as a coach, it takes your team about halfway through the season before you really can realize what your kids are actually capable of doing and things like that. And I think that's still common today. I think it's still, as I watch, the kids today, I think it's still the same way. Even though the rules have changed somewhat, the coaches can spend more time around the kids. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea for both the kids and the coaches. They need to be young kids, and they need to have time away from the sport they're in as well. But that's one thing that I see has really changed a lot in basketball. When we played, we didn't have the three-point shot. And I think as you watch teams anymore, the three-point shot has become such an important part of the game. And you watch the young kids when they play, you see them developing such bad shooting habits because they're out on the floor, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders constantly shooting three-pointers. They don't get the fundamentals on shooting and things like that they need to have. And if you don't have that by the high school level, it's hard for them to make changes for that. And that's the thing that I really see the difference in today.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned form in the younger ages, because I coach my daughter in 5th grade right now, and she wants to shoot threes, and she's actually getting strong enough to do it right. But I've held her back just because I said, when you can do it right, then I'll let you start shooting them out there. And if you're going to throw them at the basket, it's not going to do you any good. And, like you said, so many times you see a lot of different kids trying to do that, and they're just not there yet, and they're just not getting the proper fundamentals. And I like coaching the younger kids because, you know, I like to think that I can get them off to that good start that way and work with them that way. So and it's funny, I was talking to you earlier, and our head coach at our school, Argus, was former coach under you, right?
Yep.
So Coach Gary Teal is the head coach for the Lady Dragons, and you know, he was able to take the girls. We went down to the state championship game a couple years ago, and unfortunately we lost that game as well. But it's just weird how everything kind of comes full circle.
Seems like everything kind of goes in cycles, and how strong your teams are, and you'll have a period of time where it gets down and that. But, you know, as I watch the elementary and I watch the junior high kids, I just wish they would do away with the three-point shot at that level, because I think it's developing such bad shooting habits. I've got 2 grandsons that play well, and I watch them, and they work a lot on three-point shooting. And I think you need to learn the other things. And I've always said, as a coach and as a player, the first things I think you need to learn as a player especially is how to dribble the basketball. And if you can do that, everything else becomes so much easier for you when you're out on the floor and what you do. The passing and the rebounding and everything is so much easier. But yet, you know, you see so many kids, even I said the younger kids spend so much time. You watch them out on the floor, and all they're doing is shooting three-point shots. And I believe as a coach that you're not going to constantly win games if you are totally relying on three-point shooting, because there's going to be nights that you don't have that, and you better be able to do some of the other fundamental things of the game. I think Coach Lewis with us, you know, we were really fond of him, and I think that's one thing he really stressed to us is the fundamentals and his knowledge of the game. And I think one thing that was really nice, he wasn't that much older than what we were when we were players. And I think we responded to him because of that. And I think you know, I've been on and off in contact with him over the years, and I think, you know, he's a Hall of Fame coach, so you know he knew what he was talking about.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I went on to a Hall of Fame career. He was telling us about, you know, his teams that he had at Norwell and some of the success that he had over there and everything. So, yeah, it's great. And I was asking him, and I asked Bob, you know, I was like, how much contact, you know, have you been able to maintain over the years? And, you know, Bob said, you know, everybody kind of goes their own, you know, different directions, and it's kind of hard. But so you've been able to stay a little bit in contact with the coach over the years?
I'll be honest with you, I was a sophomore. I was only 15 years old at that time. And a lot of these guys I have not seen, or I say part of them I've not seen since they left in 68 or 69.
Really?
Tonight was the first I've seen some of them. Occasionally I would run into them, but I'd ran into Coach Lewis 2 or 3 years ago over at the Dairy Queen at Rochester. And surprisingly, it just shocked me that he was in there, and we had a good conversation then. But I think he was well respected in the community, and he had success. I mean, you know what he went on to achieve, but he was a very, very good coach and very much admired here in the area.
A lot happens at Dairy Queen in Rochester. I spent a few days in there. It's quite the hub of activity.
Well, I'll be honest with you, that's where my wife and I go after church almost every Sunday for lunch. So
yeah.
Can't beat that $5 meal. So
yeah, that's where I learned the $5 meal. I would go in there after church on Sundays, and yep. So chicken strip basket. That's where I never had a chicken strip basket until I went to that Dairy Queen. So
amen.
It's weird how everything kind of just comes full circle, isn't it?
Yeah.
So had a great day here. You guys been active since about 3 o'clock? They started rolling in.
You know, the nice thing of it was we all got one last Warrior cheer here tonight. Something, you know, it seems like, you know, this happened 50 years ago, but for us it doesn't seem like it's been near that long.
Right.
And you know, to come back, this was back basically home to me. I coached here from 85 to 90. And I was anxious to see what everything looked like when I came back in here, but you know, not a lot has changed, bleachers and a few things like that. But
yeah.
It's kind of good to be back home, and I wish this game was going a little bit better than it is right now. But
well, they're tightening it up just a little bit. 53-34. I mean, you know, Wabash, they've got some size down there. You know, you guys had Bob, who was about 6'6". They got a couple, looks like brothers, I think. They're both Vanderveldens. 6'5", 6'7". So
well, basketball now has become such a game of quickness anymore.
Yes.
Not necessarily exceptional basketball players, but they're good athletes and they're very quick. And I think that's another thing that's changed a lot in basketball. You know, I would like to think if our team could go back and play right now, you know, we had the height, we had the shooting, we had the defense and everything. I think we would be pretty successful. But these guys are so athletic, so many of them that you see.
Well, that's the one thing that I've noticed. You know, I got 3 daughters, so I don't, you know, up until I started broadcasting, didn't watch a lot of boys basketball from the time I graduated. And that was mid-'90s, and the speed. The speed, even from when we were playing, is just tremendous. I could have never kept up.
Well, I coached boys for 12 years, and I said to myself, I would never coach girls. I would never coach girls. But I coached girls for 3 years, and I tell you, that was some of the most fun times I had was with those girls because their attitudes are a little bit different than what the boys are, and you can, to motivate them, you just tell them that they can't do something and they're going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
But you got to get used to the tears and all the drama that goes along with it as well. But
there is a little bit of that involved with coaching girls. I know that for a fact.
I was talking to the varsity boys here tonight before the game a little bit, and I honestly think the girls team here at North Miami is probably a taller bunch. Taller bunch than what the boys are. But
yeah.
I think it's going to take them a little while, and hopefully they get things turned around and can get success back here again. So.
Yeah, our girls were supposed to play North Miami on, I think, like January 3rd, and they had an issue with some freezing pipes, and they tried to change it to play up at Argus, and it just didn't happen that it worked out, so we weren't able to play this year. But you know, we played the last 2 years. Actually, we met them in sectionals last year, and were able to advance past. But you know, the Bolzer sisters. The one is 6'4", and then her older sister is actually like 6'2".
You know, you think as a coach, boy, you would love to be coaching and have those kids that size and their ability. I coached at Tippecanoe Valley and helped out in the 8th grade for 5 or 6 years there, and we played against those girls when they were in junior high. And you knew then when you seen them play that they were going to be successful. And, you know, I just hope more success comes their way. So just seems like this game here, I mean, North Miami is struggling this game. Seems like they can't get any momentum going right now. And, you know, they're about 18 points behind. It's going to be hard for them to get back in the game. But I think their defense is going to have to get some stops to get them back in the game.
I was looking here, you know, doing my pregame stuff with North Miami, and I didn't realize their coach is in his 37th year of coaching. He's been pretty successful everywhere he's gone. He's won several sectionals and some regionals as well, and it's his first year here, so I think they got the right guy at the top, at least.
Well, I think it's going to take some time.
Right.
You can't go in the first year and, you know, turn everything around. It just takes time, momentum to build your program. And I know I've seen some of the kids I think are freshmen and sophomores. I've seen them play as 5th graders, and they were very, very good as 5th graders. And you're hoping, you know, the future is down there is just keeping people or kids involved in the programs and wanting them to get out and spend the time and play. There's so many other things for the kids to do today. That's and the time you spend, you know, I had an athletic director tell me one time, he says, I don't want the kids to have to give up any of their free time to do that. I want them to be free to do anything they want. Well, when you're playing basketball, you've made a commitment, and it takes a lot of hours, and a lot of your time is spent with basketball. And, you know, some of the kids will be going out to a movie or doing this or that. No, I've got to go to practice.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a game, and it's hard to get the commitment anymore.
Yeah. And you see that a lot, and, you know, North Miami is similar to our situation as far as a smaller school, and they're getting pulled in different directions with sports at the school. And then they're also trying, you know, the summertime is really hard now. the basketball team pretty much practices together the whole month of June, and then the soccer team wants you in July, and then, there's no, going out and swimming and messing around anymore. It's all,
Well, every coach of every sport wants that participant to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the small schools, you just cannot do that. And there's just not enough kids to go around for everything. And you look, they keep adding sports all the time. And when you got the 1A schools, it's hard for them to be successful in anything because of the number of kids you've got that you're choosing from. Some people complain about class basketball. Well, if you didn't have class basketball, a lot of these kids wouldn't see the success that they have at the end of the year. So.
I came on the tail end of one class, about 3 years after I graduated was when they went to class basketball. And, my senior year, we were a decent team. We were like 10-9 in the regular season. And, the schools that we played that were similar in size, we were beaten. And I often wonder, what would have happened to, that year if there would have been class basketball. And, it's great when you have the stories, the success stories like you guys had in '68, where you get to go on and move through, but this gives the opportunity more regularly, I guess, for the smaller schools to compete in that arena.
Well, I think of small schools. You've got to play bigger schools and for you to get better, I think. But yet, that's going to help you in the long run. I think coaches sometimes look at what they want their record to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think your success comes when you get into that sectional, where you go from that point on. And to get better, you definitely have to play against teams or players sometimes that are better than you, and that makes you more competitive. And then when you get back into your own class, it just makes things a lot easier for you.
Well, we got about, a minute 14 left here in the third. North Miami's trailing 38-63 over Wabash. And the Apaches look like they're going to roll to a victory here in the TRC battle between North Miami and Wabash. And Mike, anything else you want to add? Or
No,
I don't want to keep you the whole night. I know you got friends and everything over there you want to catch up with and stuff. So
I said it's just good to be back here, and it's amazing. My wife was teasing me. She says, "How many of those people do you think are still alive that was back there from '68?" But it's amazing to see the number of people here that I remember from back then. So it's nice, and I was really hoping they would do something. I was anxious to see our coach and the players and stuff again. But I appreciate the time you give me, and
thanks for coming up, and go home and pull it up on the computer. You can watch yourself and listen to Coach, listen to Bob, and let everybody know if anybody else wants to come over and chat. We're up here for another quarter, so
okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time,
right,
and it was very nice meeting you.
All right.
So that was Mike Walters, a sophomore on the 1968 team. And we appreciate him coming up and chatting with us. Last few seconds here of the third period, Wabash leads 65-40 over the Warriors. Got 10 seconds left. Wabash with the ball. And a steal and a bucket. Nice steal there by Tristan Working, and he puts it in. He's going to go to the line shooting and one with 2.9 seconds left here in the third quarter. That foul on number 12. No, on 11, Gribben was his first. All righty. They had to verify that bucket did go in, which it did. So one shot here for the sophomore, Tristan Working. And free throw is no good. Offensive rebound, you'll have no time, and a shot, and no good at the buzzer by Noah Gillette. So at the end of 3 quarters of play here at North Miami, Warriors trail 42-65 over the Wabash Apaches. We're going to take a quick break here and thank some of our fine sponsors for the broadcast here. You're watching RTC4.com's coverage of North Miami basketball and the 50th anniversary celebration of the 1968 North Miami Warriors semi-state team.
Got that new home edition and you're keeping it covered.
Ooh, coverages now. I can help with this. Got zone coverage, man coverage, combo coverages.
I don't know, Peyton. I think more like the coverage your nationwide agent offers.
Oh, you want to go there? Home, auto, life, business, farm, boat, RV, ATV, camper, pet, motorcycle, your tour bus. Did I mention farm?
Contact Jennings Insurance Agency today or visit one of our offices in Argus and Rochester.
All right, welcome back here. We're going to start fourth quarter action here at North Miami High School, joined now by Mike Coughing. And Mike, we've just been kind of chatting up here, nothing formal or anything like that. Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. What age were you on the 68 squad?
I was a junior.
Okay.
So I played some varsity as a sophomore, but then as a junior, for that team.
All right, so we've had Mike Walters and Coach Lewis and then Bob up here, and like I said, I've just been kind of letting you guys go. Tell us, about your experience in '68 and what it was like for you.
It's it was just an incredible experience for a 16-year-old kid. Not too long ago, maybe you don't want to hear this story, but I sat down and wrote a letter to my sons, trying to remember everything I could. It's pretty amazing the things you can actually remember from it, which tells me that it's one of the, the neater events that I was ever a part of in my life. So anyway, there's just a lot of things. The support, as you can see, even tonight, 50 years later, was incredible.
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget the time we came back after the sectional and came in here, and the place there were just people everywhere standing, and it was a bigger crowd than I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
After the sectional was over.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was quite an experience. I don't think for a team sport, obviously winning a state championship is the ultimate goal, but for where we were, to play in Mackey Arena, for the semi-state championship was beyond any of our dreams, I can assure you.
Walking into Mackey for, that first game, was that kind of a Hoosiers kind of moment for you guys? I mean, coming from North Miami and going over there into a facility that holds, 18,000 or something like that? What was that like?
I don't remember being intimidated by the building. I think the semi-state game there was probably the best game we ever played in our lives. The Greencastle team was, if we'd have played them 10 times, we'd have been lucky to beat them more than once.
Really?
They were, I felt like it was probably the best I ever played in my life, and I know that I wasn't the only one, as they were really good. But, I remember, as far as being intimidated by the place, the Gary Roosevelt crowd was intimidating for a farm boy.
They have probably a big crowd, and
I'll never forget looking up at their cheering section, and back then people dressed the section people dressed with the same clothes, and just how huge it was, and all they're lined up, and they had that chant, rip them up, chew them up, hoo-ha, or whatever it was. Was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That was intimidating for a farm boy.
Yeah. Well, and that was a team that kind of ripped their way through and ended up winning the state championship. But, just to get to that game, it had to have been just a tremendous experience. And, you see it here tonight, obviously, like you said, 50 years later, the support that you still get from the community. I love these small communities. I've told everybody, everybody's going to get tired of hearing it, but my kids go to Argus, which very small community, and
yes,
our girls team went to state 2 years ago, and unfortunately didn't win, but they came runner-up, and it's similar situation. The community was like, hey, last person out of here, shut the lights off, because
absolutely.
That day when we were playing down there at Bankers Life, I don't think there was anybody in town.
Sure.
And it was neat for me because I got to broadcast the game from the floor.
Oh, wow.
At Bankers Life Fieldhouse, so that was pretty neat in its own self. I had the nice, badge where I could get in and do all the media stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, in high school sports, I've always felt like the sectional is just, it's really spatial.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like to me it was even more so before there was class basketball.
Yeah.
For a high school, really of any size, the sectional is just, you're playing the local teams, most of them that you played during the year, and it's just really spatial to win a sectional.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I was 10 or 11 years old, I went to Culver Community, and in 1985, our team, kind of similar to your situation, not a real good regular season, probably similar, 7-8 wins or whatever, and they kind of caught lightning in a bottle, went over to North Judson and won the sectional, and I remember that was a huge deal. That was, equivalent to probably winning a state championship now. Being able to pull that off, and you guys did, 2 steps further. You went back and you won the regional, and both of those sectionals and regionals were at Logansport, correct?
Yes, at the old Berry Bowl.
Yeah. So you guys probably by the end of that run felt like that was your house, huh?
It did. I've always had. Obviously, still got fond memories of the Berry Bowl.
Yeah.
But. Once you win the sectional, and, we had never had very much success, period, much less win something like that, it seemed like we were just kind of on cloud 9 kind of a thing. The regional experience, for the first time in our lives, I think we just expected to win. We couldn't imagine anybody beating us.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I remember feeling.
Yeah.
Because, it was like we were invincible after we won the sectional. I know that may not make sense, but it's the way it seemed.
Yeah. So, it's a great thing here. I really appreciate, I'm sure you guys do as well, North Miami putting this on for you guys. 10 out of the 12 members of the team are back here tonight. And have you been able to keep up with many of your teammates from back then throughout the years?
Not really. My best friend there, we grew up together, Gary Baker. I've always kept up with him. But most of them, I live in Michigan now, and I just, have with their own kids and sports and stuff, it just seemed like it grow away. I hadn't seen Bob Pontius in, I'm not sure I've seen him since high school.
Really?
So that, it's really neat that they did something like this from that perspective too. And there's others there. Mike Devine, he walked in and I didn't remember who he was. So there's some of that.
Well, 50 years is a long time, and it's great that North Miami did this, and it's great that all you guys were able to come back here tonight and tell all your friends and family, check this out. This is also archived, so you can go back on the website anytime after we're done and watch it and get to watch the interviews with Coach and Bob and Mike and all those guys. So
I appreciate you guys doing this. It will be cool. My family wasn't able to come tonight.
Yeah.
And so they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, they can check it out. And the halftime festivity was awesome. When you guys lined up there with the trophy and everything, that was, that was a great moment. The cheerleaders, 5 or 6 of your cheerleaders came back. Your athletic director, your coach. That's amazing. Not to be mean that they're still alive, but it's still 50 years later. That's pretty amazing that all those people are still around, and
I was really glad to see Coach Lewis because I hadn't seen him since high school, and I know he lives in South Carolina. And, to think enough of the whole situation to make the effort to come back, I just thanks Coach Lewis.
Oh, I didn't realize he lives in South Carolina.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, he lives in Hilton Head, I think he said. But at any rate, I had never seen him and probably never would have seen him if it wasn't been for something like this.
Right.
So, and Nels is, has just always been a huge supporter of the athletic program here and still is, I'm sure. But for him to make the effort to come back for something like this is pretty special too.
Yeah, it's definitely a and Bob was talking about Nels and some of his experiences with him and Coach as well. He said he tried his patience a lot, but
yeah, the one thing about Bob is he's got some experiences to share from a lot of different people, so
yeah.
There's that.
So, unfortunately, the Warriors tonight are not doing so well, down 79-51 with 2:43 left to go. But, that's not going to dampen anything here with you guys. It's been a great afternoon. I think they started off doing stuff around 3, didn't they, with everybody right after school got out?
Right after school got out, yeah. They brought the current team over and and introduced themselves and stuff. And it was pretty cool, And of course, we spent quite a bit of time there, like social hour with the chilla supper and anyway, just visiting.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's been an afternoon of it.
Yeah. I was able to go in and grab me a cup of chili and just kind of sat there and observed, and it was neat. Everybody just kind of taking some pictures and reminiscing about the old days. And
Coach Hawkins here, I think, if given some time, I think they'll have a good program here. I followed him when he was at DeKalb and went to some of the tournament games there when he had some really good teams, but his teams were really impressive. The teamwork, you could just tell they were really well coached, everything they did.
Yeah.
And he'll eventually get that here, I'm sure, if given the chance. I know this year with his having surgery and everything, I don't doesn't seem like he's had really a chance to implement what he wants to do yet.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot of experience there, 37 years in coaching, and that's you'd like to think that give him a couple years here, and it takes some time. You got to change the whole mentality of the school and the players all the way down into the lower grades, and it doesn't happen overnight by any means. And my alma mater, Culver, small school, so you kind of go up and down and fluctuate, and they're kind of in a down period right now, and it just takes time to get everybody back on board. And he seems like he's patient with them, from what I've seen, and trying to get them going in the right direction at least.
Yeah, they have the right guy here, I'm sure. He's, like you said, he's got an awful lot of experience, and he'll get it going in the right direction eventually.
Well, I'll let you get back to your reunion over there. Mike Coffey, and I appreciate taking a few minutes with us here, and tell all your family, they can tune in, they can watch this on rtc4.com anytime. After we're done, it'll go right into the archive in the website, so you can go back in there, you can watch it, and relive the whole evening.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your night. All right, so we got a minute left here in the ball game. The Warriors trail 55-81 over the Wabash Apaches, and looks like that might be all on players. But it's been a great night here at North Miami High School. Appreciate Scott Sager letting me come down and do this. I appreciate the hospitality from everyone here at North Miami, Ed Contreras, the athletic director, and all. and all the wonderful interviews that we got to do with the players. It's truly amazing when you think about it, all the effort that it took to get these players here from different areas. Got Coach Lewis back. I didn't realize that he was living in South Carolina. So, I mean, just the effort to get everybody here tonight was amazing, and appreciate everything. And glad I could come down here. Thanks to Quentin for filming for us. I haven't even really watched any of it. I hope you were getting some of the game at least. So, didn't get a chance to run a lot of the ads for our sponsors, but if you guys watch rtc4.com, please, support the people that sponsor the, double dribble. Support the people that sponsor us, because without their help, we wouldn't be able to do what we do here with high school sports in the northern Indiana area. 35 seconds left here, 83-57, Wabash with the lead. North Miami has the ball. And there's a three-pointer off the mark. Rebound goes to the Apaches. And a little Euro step and unable to finish. Number 4 gets the foul call, and he's going to go to the line.
Fouls on 30, Gary Hammy is fifth.
I'm going to assume that's Kelsheimer. He's listed on junior varsity as number 4 for Wabash. There's no 4 listed on their varsity. And he's going to be shooting 2. That foul on Hanley was his 5th, so he is fouled out for the Warriors. And the first free throw is good. One more coming up here. 84-57, 11 seconds left to go. And the second free throw is good as well. 85-57. See if the Warriors can get off one more shot here before the buzzer. A little reverse layup, no good, but the foul is called. And number 20, Greg Sonafrank, is going to be at the line, a sophomore. First one rims off the front and goes in. 85-58, 0.6 seconds left. Sonafrank with one from the line, and it's off the back iron, no good, and that's going to do it. Your final score, Wabash 85 and the North Miami Warriors 58. But tonight was not about necessarily as much the game on the court as it was about the 1968 team that was coming back here for a 50th anniversary celebration. Appreciate everyone tuning in to the game here this evening, and hope everybody enjoyed it. I appreciate Scott and everybody for letting me come down here and do this. So I'm going to say goodnight here from North Miami High School. For Quentin Sager, Steve Stricker saying good night, and be safe on the way home.